Have you ever heard yourself saying yes to something while every single cell in your body is quietly screaming, no? It happens so fast. A friend asks for a favor, a coworker needs a last-minute hand, or someone simply expects you to show up. And before your mind can even process the weight of the request, you watch the word form on your lips. You say, sure, no problem, I can do that. You smile. You adjust your entire schedule. You push aside the quiet exhaustion resting in your bones.
I did a good job.
We often call this being a good person. We call it being easygoing, reliable, or supportive. But underneath the surface, there is a much heavier name for this pattern. It is the nice guy trap. And if you have been caught in it for years, you already know the quiet, heavy truth. Being the perpetual nice guy does not actually feel like kindness. It feels like an assignment. It feels like slowly erasing your own needs to make sure no one else is ever inconvenienced by your existence. I remember a specific weekend that forced me to look closely at this trap in my own life. A friend asked if I could help them move a few boxes. It sounded simple enough, so, of course, I said yes. But when I got there, nothing was packed. A few boxes turned into clearing out an entire apartment. We hauled heavy furniture down 3 flights of stairs late into the night. My back was aching, my weekend plans were ruined, and I was running on empty. But I just kept smiling, telling them it was totally fine, making sure they didn't feel guilty. When I finally got home, I collapsed. I woke up the next morning feeling physically broken and completely drained. I reached for my phone, scrolling mindlessly, and the very first thing I saw was my friend's Instagram story. They were out at a sunny brunch with a larger group, laughing, clinking glasses, looking completely refreshed. And there I was, lying in the dark, too exhausted to even get out of bed. The immediate feeling was a sharp, burning resentment. How could they be out having fun when I was sitting here broken from helping them? But as I laid there, an uncomfortable truth began to settle in. They didn't force me to stay. They didn't force me to carry everything. They asked, and I agreed. They didn't cross a boundary. They just walked into a room where I had never bothered to build a door. That realization led me to look at the rest of my life, and I noticed a secondary trap I had fallen into. Because I spent all my energy keeping everyone else comfortable, my own life was entirely on pause. For 3 straight months, I had been telling myself I was going to start exercising again. I knew I needed to. My body felt heavy and my mind felt clouded. I bought the right shoes. I even made a workout playlist. And every single evening, after spending my day accommodating everyone around me, I would sit on the edge of my bed and tell myself that I was just waiting for the motivation to hit me. I convinced myself that I just wasn't in the right mood yet. I believed that one day I would wake up, the clouds would part, and I would suddenly feel a massive surge of energy and inspiration to take care of my body, to stand up for myself, and to change my life. But the mood never came. This is the great myth of motivation, and it is deeply tied to the people-pleasing trap. We bleed our energy dry trying to keep the peace, and then we sit around waiting for some magical spark of motivation to finally start living for ourselves. We treat motivation like it is the weather. We think it is something that just happens to us, something we have to wait for before we can act. We think we need to feel brave before we say no. We think we need to feel energized before we can start a new habit. But when you are caught in the cycle of overgiving, you will never naturally feel ready to change. Your nervous system is too tired. You see this in so many small, quiet moments of everyday life. It is the feeling of sitting at your desk on a Friday at 4 in the afternoon, desperately wanting to go home, when a coworker casually drops a project on your desk. You don't have weekend plans, so you convince yourself you have no valid excuse to say no. You swallow your frustration and take the files. Or maybe it is the feeling of sitting in your parked car outside a social gathering you agreed to attend weeks ago. You are gripping the steering wheel, staring at the front door, secretly hoping your phone buzzes with a text saying the whole thing has been canceled, just so you don't have to be the one to disappoint anyone. Why do we do this? Why do we betray our own limits so easily? It is never just about being polite. If you look deeper, underneath the accommodating smiles and the instant agreement, there is a profound, lingering fear. Somewhere along the way, many of us absorb the belief that our worth is entirely tied to our usefulness. You might believe on a subconscious level that if you stop being convenient, you will stop being loved. You fear that if you say no, you will be seen as selfish, difficult, or mean. The nice guy trap is not driven by generosity. It is driven by anxiety. You are not just giving people your time, you are paying them your time so they won't abandon you. You are trying to manage their emotions so you can feel safe in their presence. If this sounds familiar, I want you to pause and hear this clearly. Your inability to say no is not a character flaw. It does not mean you are weak or a pushover. It is simply a survival strategy that your nervous system developed to keep you safe and connected to others. You learned to scan the room, anticipate what people needed, and become exactly that. It was a brilliant adaptation at one point in your life, but it is a strategy that is now slowly burning down your own house to keep everyone else warm. The resentment you feel when you are exhausted is not a sign that you are secretly a bad person. Resentment is simply the receipt you get for a boundary you didn't set. It is your body's way of violently telling you that you have given away more than you could afford. So how do we step out of this? How do we stop waiting for the motivation to change? And how do we stop automatically saying yes? The answer is the exact opposite of what we usually think. You do not wait for the feeling. Action must come first. Action creates the emotion, not the other way around. When I finally realized that my 3-month wait for workout motivation was an illusion, I stopped waiting for the mood. I started using a very simple psychological tool, the 2-minute rule. I told myself I did not have to do a full, exhausting workout. I just had to put on my shoes and move for 2 minutes. A micro start. If I wanted to stop after 2 minutes, I could. But the friction is almost always in the starting. Once you begin, the body generates the heat, the momentum builds, and the motivation arrives. This exact same principle is how you escape the nice guy trap. You do not need to wait until you feel incredibly confident and fearless to start setting boundaries. You do not need to become a hardened, cold person who aggressive rejects everyone. You just need a 2-minute intervention. You just need a micro start. The next time someone asks you for a favor, your goal is not to immediately say a harsh no. Your only goal is to insert a small, tiny buffer between their request and your response. You just need a script that you have prepared in advance. Something as simple and neutral as, "Let me check my schedule and get back to you." That single sentence is a revolution. It breaks the automatic reflex of people-pleasing. It gives your nervous system a moment to breathe, step back and ask, "Do I actually have the capacity for this?" When you do realize that you need to decline, you can do it without being aggressive and without over-explaining or apologizing heavily. You can learn the art of the gentle alternative. You can say, "I can't commit to helping you move this weekend, but I'd be happy to bring over dinner on Tuesday once you're settled." Or simply, "I won't be able to take that on right now, but I'm cheering you on." You are giving them a clear answer, but you are not taking on their burden. You are remaining kind, but you are finally keeping your own energy intact. The first time you do this, it will feel terrifying. Your heart will race. You will hit send on that text message or speak those words, and you will wait for the sky to fall. You will wait for the person to explode, to hate you, to walk away. But most of the time, the sky does not fall. They will simply say, "No worries, thanks anyway," and move on to find another solution. And in that quiet space that follows, you will feel something strange. You will feel the unfamiliar weight of your own freedom. You will realize that the world keeps spinning even when you are not holding it up.
What changed?
The globe keeps
You do not have to earn your place in people's lives by being their personal safety net. You are allowed to have limits.
Suspense.
You are
We can
allowed to be
truly
tired.
protect our energy.
And you are allowed to start taking back those small, 2-minute pieces of your life. Not because you finally feel motivated,
Made my
but because
decision.
you have finally
I'm ready
decided
to
that your
move forward.
energy belongs to you first.
Take a deep breath.